Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So the question that's buzzing on everybody's mind as the spring housing market is just a few months away, right around the corner, is when are the interest rates going to take a significant tumble? Well, that's a layered question that you really can't give a totally accurate answer to, but I want to give you some factors that's going to play into when or if this happens. First of all, let's take a look at Mr. Jerome Powell. He is the chairman of the Federal Reserve, and his job is to keep inflation in check and to decide when to raise and to lower or to pause interest rates. So he is going to be the biggest player in determining when this happens. Now let's take a look at Mr. Jerome Powell's calendar. This is going to determine when the interest rates would really fall and when they'll fall and by how much. So in 2024, there is a interest rate meeting to decide whether you're going to raise, lower, or pause rates on the following dates: January 31st, March 20th, May 1st, June 12th, July 31st, September 18th, November 7th, and then December 18th. Now, what normally happens is in a conservative time period, the Federal Reserve typically will only lower or raise rates, if he does either, by a quarter of a point. And in this market, I don't think that makes that much of a difference. I think it's going to take like a move of a half a point. So by maybe the third meeting, which is in May, you could see rates around 6% if the Fed is aggressive and does 3 rate decreases at the rate of about a half a point each. So what does that mean for the current rates? Like, first, let's take a look at the current rates. So these are the current interest rates as they're standing as of January 8th, 2024. It's about 7.3, to be honest, about 7.38 on the 30-year fixed, 6.44 on the 15-year, 7.1-ish on the 20-year. But we're going to use the 30-year because that's the most common for homeowners. Let's talk about how much of a difference a point and a half would make for a lot of home buyers out there right now. We're going to use a sample of a $400,000 home. So a $400,000 home, which might look something like this, somewhere in America, this is an average home, and a lot of people are paying $400,000 for an average home. That's just the market we're in, and it depends on where you are located in the country. That $400,000 home with an FHA buyer at 3.5% down and an interest rate of 7.5%. Now, this is just principal and interest and private mortgage insurance, also known as PMI. You're looking at about $2,865 per month. That's without taxes, without insurance. The same home, if we have this rate decrease, $400,000, 3.5% down, FHA buyer, now the rate's 6% instead of 7.5%. It does make a significant difference. We're looking at $2,480. So about a $400 decrease on the amount it would cost to get that home. Now, this interest rate decrease potentially could create another buyer's frenzy, which would make it hard for you to even get this $400,000 home. Might sell for $420, $430, $440, $450, and you'd be in the same kind of purgatory hell that you were in a couple years ago when rates were down to 3% and people were buying like crazy, and lots of buyers were experiencing extreme frustration from tendering contract after contract after contract and those contracts not being accepted. Now, I'm going to tell you how you can actually win in this market. And I'm going to be very upfront. This is not for everybody. But I think the way to win in a market like that is to buy a distressed home. You're not going to get that distressed home with 3.5% down. You may have to put as much as 20% down. In some cases, you may have a lender that will do a 10% owner occupied. Now, let's say you can get that $400,000 home for $240,000. You know why? It needs work, and all the people that have the FHA loans, they can't buy it because it's not going to pass the appraisal and the inspection. Now, let's say if you need to spend 10% to get this home, that means instead of coming up with $13,000 or so, you would need to come up with, say, $25,000, and let's just say an additional $5K in closing costs. So now you need $30,000. You may have to save for a while, but it can be done. Trust me, I know lots of people that have exercised this strategy. It's going to take some sacrifice. It's going to take some living lean for a while. But in the end, if you got that same home for $240,000, and then you had to put $60,000 into it to make it, customize it the way you want it to be, well, now you got $100,000 of equity plus whatever appreciation the home will gain while you're living there. Whereas the person that bought the average $400,000 home, move-in ready, all fixed up, ready to go, they're not coming in the door with equity. In a lot of cases, they may come in the door with negative equity because they'll be competing with all these other buyers buying because the rates have subsided some, and they may have to play the whole bidding game. And if you're bidding against 10, 15 other people, guys, I'm just going to be honest with you, the winner is probably also the loser. So that's just something for you to take with you. When will these rates come down? It could be as early as middle of spring. It could take a little bit longer. But this will give you an idea of what kind of effect this could have on the housing market, and a strategy that you may be able to employ depending on what kind of cash you can get your hands on to be able to win even in a market like this. All right, just wanted to share that with you. That's it for today. But I'll be back soon, but for now, class is dismissed.